Jackie, I'm super curious. Like you mentioned that before it was two distinctive B2B and B2C motion, and now it's a one linear solution. Can you go a little bit deeper to elaborate on like what does that look like before, what does that look like after, and what are the tools and processes you put together?
Yeah. So on the B2C side, we had a fair amount of older technology that was in place, as well as on the B2B side, we had brand new, we'd never set this up before correctly technology. So a lot of it was kind of deconstructing what existed and kind of breaking it, re-architecting it to actually make sense to the business use case. And I'm sure we've all been there where we've hired, whether it's like a fractional individual or a certain implementation partner that maybe didn't actually know what they were doing. And so you kind of have to backtrack and rework. And so in parallel of establishing one system, at the same time, you see what's existing and realizing, oh, the old systems no longer apply to what the next phase of a company is. So a lot of that for myself, but also even working with Bei, was identifying what's next, what's the next generation approach to ultimately tying all of our data together, all of our marketing systems. So ultimately we ended up migrating from Marketing Cloud to Iterable as an example for our lifecycle email platform. And there's a lot of great ones. That's happened to be the best one based off of our specific needs, and happy to go into those details if someone's interested. But ultimately then leveraging tools like a reverse ETL as well as an ETL to ensure we have all of our data in sync and in loop, and ultimately creating unified segments that we're able to disperse across different ESPs in order to ensure there was the same audience and grouping, and not just between email, but also with paid advertising. We set this up so that we can have lookalike audiences and suppression lists and things like that. So really just thinking through how to make it all work together and just make things as easy as possible.
Super helpful. And one challenge we face with a lot of PLG companies is the B2C tech stack and the B2B tech stack are almost like two different worlds. And in the iterable and Braze of the world, so they don't even integrate with Salesforce directly. How did you like solve that issue? Did you use the ETL tools to do those? And
yeah, great question. And I think we're within the next 3 to 5 years, someone's going to have a solution there. But yes, there really is no singular platform that can handle both. As much as I wanted to and try to fit a square peg in a circle, really tried. Ultimately, from a lifecycle perspective and demand generation perspective, you need separate tools, because on a B2B side, at least historically, you need accounts, you need a way to categorize your contacts and leads. And so we ultimately used Pardot as well as Iterable. And so one for demand gen, particularly on the B2B side, and then all things lifecycle, both B2C and B2B, and what's becoming the blend out of Iterable. But to your point, in terms of making them talk, that's where we were leveraging a tool like HighTouch. There's similar reverse ETLs like Census and others out there where you unify it, and that's where working in particular with a marketing analytics team to ensure you do have the right tables, you're pulling in the right things, you're quadruple checking with your data scientists to make sure everything's set up correctly. But then once you have it all done, you've got the definitions written out, then those segments are created and everyone can build from there. And so, and they're each in their individual platforms. So you've got the same list, suppression lists, and name it.
That makes sense. It's like there's a central place where those data segments sit, and then it sends through HighTouch to Iterable and to Pardot to execute and activate.
Yeah, and if we have time at the end, happy to kind of dig deep into what these tools actually are that I'm saying out loud if people are interested, because I know sometimes if I look at websites, I'm like, I still don't know what that means and what it actually means for what I'm trying to solve for.
Yeah, we need a deeper dive sessions on this tool. Or Holly, do you have any other follow-up?
Yeah, no, this is great. Like I always wondered, there are companies who use more of a like the CDPs, like the segments as the central place to manage all the segments, and there are people who just have like a Snowflake or Redshift data warehouse to manage and then just pull up and just pull user lists. So yeah, I was just curious on how you guys resolved it.
Yeah, we'll get to a spicy take of mine later, I think, as it relates to CDPs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, we need a session on this B2C and B2B, because Holly, exactly the same question you were having. We were just having that meeting yesterday with Jacqueline, because another founder who is starting the B2C and B2B business came to me asking, hey, listen, right, we got a Salesforce for the B2B, we got a data lake for the B2C, but how to connect? What's the right tool to connect? So I have a organizational oncology. I know when to bundle the individual back to the 2B, right? How do I check them in a non-technical way so salesperson, operation person can know? So after chatting, well, unfortunately, it doesn't exist today. So you just have to query. There's still manual components. There are connecting tools like a high touch, like a 5-chain, do the ETL, reverse ETL, right? There are other tools, but even in Grammarly, we had to rely on the team of analysts to pull the segments manually so many times.
Exactly.
And that's definitely a future, right? This is definitely potentially a future product opportunity, because almost all the models are
One can figure it
B2C
out.
and B2B. Yeah, it is the serious opportunity. But let's move on. This is a meaty one. We'll probably find a different way to tap into this.